Hey folks, so today's Subcommittee on Veterans Affairs for the Minnesota Senate on Wednesday, March 19th, 2025 is now in session. We do have a very busy day. Thank you all for being here today. It's nice to see a full room of citizens engaged in important questions and big issues. This is what we're going to do today. We're going to see our first here, Senate File 568. Senator Hur is here. Thank you. Then I will talk through the Department of Military Affairs and the Department of Veteran Affairs budget establishment, Senate File 1959. Then I will have another bill, Senate File 1893, which is about Lutheran Social Services and a Meals on Wheels program. Then Senator Kupec will talk through Senate File 2550, a Fargo Memorial Honor Guard construction. And then Senator Kupec again has Senate File 1706, Human Service Data and Veterans Data Provisions Modifications. Members, with the exception of Senate File 568 and Senate File 1706, the other bills will be laid over for possible inclusion. The two bills that I just mentioned will need to be passed and referred to the Agricultural Committee in its entirety. So that's our path and our plan for the day, everybody. Senator Hur, welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Chair Putnam.
Great to have you here. Please introduce your bill for us, if you would, please.
Okay, thank you, Chair Putnam and the members for hearing Senate File 586. This bill redefines veterans to include the Special Guerrilla Unit, or in short, SGU. SGU was a clandestine force in Laos during the Vietnam War, constitute mostly Hmong, young men and child, and some women serving as nurses. Hmong are Highlander of Southeast Asia. I want to be brief on this introduction, so that will allow more time for my testify to give the context of history and tell their story. During the Vietnam War, or in this case, the secret war in Laos, every capable Hmong men and young boys were recruited as were recruited by United States Department as proxy soldier fighting for America. That amount to 95% of the Hmong in Laos bearing arms for this country during the secret war in Laos. That was the main reason Hmong are here in Minnesota, because our elders shed blood for this country. The population of Hmong in Laos during the Vietnam War was just about 100,000, losing 35 military lives to save Americans and more in the aftermath of extermination, nearly wipe out our entire people. 50 years have passed. Those who bear arms for the United States, the SGU men and women and child soldiers are in their late years now, with no more than 1,000 left in the state of Minnesota. So let's give them full recognition by passing this bill. I'll pass this time to Dr. Lee Pao Xiong for the testimony, and then followed by Mr. Ya Li, SGU veterans, a T-28 pilot.
Thank you very much, Senator Hur. Dr. Zhang, if you would please state your full name for the record and commence your testimony when you're ready.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Senator Hur, Chair Putnam, and members of the committee. My name is Lee Pao Xiong, Leepaoxiong, and I am the director of the Center for Hmong Studies at Concordia University, St. Paul. I'm also the co-chair of the Hmong Committee 100. Thank you for allowing me to testify today. I stand before you as the son of a Hmong Special Guerrilla Unit veterans. My father, like so many others, some mere children as young as 10 years of age, was recruited when he was only 17 to fight in a war not his own. Years before, his older brother, a member of the legendary Battalion 1, had answered the call only to perish in the defense of American interests in Laos. My father's story is one of extraordinary sacrifice. He was twice sent to Thailand for specialized training, becoming a master of paratrooping and heavy artillery, wielding weapons like the 105 millimeter and the rare 155 howitzer. He fought in every major battles in Laos, from the height of Pupati, a U.S. Air Force radar installation, to the plains of Long Keng, the CIA headquarters in Laos. At Bolon, the thunder of his gun silenced his right ear, a permanent scar of his service. Today, he battles skin cancer, a cruel reminder of the gunpowder he breathed. Next month, he faces his 5th surgery to remove more cancer nodes. Let us be clear about the context of this sacrifice. The Geneva Accords, meant to ensure Laos' neutrality, were a charade. The United States, driven by Cold War strategy, bypassed this agreement, choosing to wage a secret war through the Hmong. They were recruited, funded, and trained by the CIA to serve as surrogate soldiers, paying an unimaginable price. Over 30,000 Hmong SCU died in the war, and another 50,000 perished fleeing persecution after the United States pulled out in 1975. CIA Director William Colby acknowledged the debt owed. Without the Hmong, 50,000 more American names might grace the Vietnam Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. From 1962 to 1975, these Hmong soldiers held back 70,000 North Vietnamese troops, preventing them from overwhelming American forces in South Vietnam. Mr. Chair and members of the committee, fewer than 1,000 of these heroes remain in Minnesota, and we have some of them in the audience. If you can stand up, Ms. Sugar, yeah. Their numbers are dwindling, their stories fading. We have a moral obligation to honor their sacrifice, to acknowledge the sacrifice they made for a country that was not their own. I implore you, please support this bill, and let's not allow these Hmong Special Guerrilla Units' legacy to be forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shang. Mr. Yi, if you would please state your full name for the record and condense your testimony when you're ready.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and member of the Veterans Affairs Senate Committees. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you today. My name is Ya Lee, Y-A-L-E-E. I was one of the 37 Hmong pilots trained by the United States Air Force with the full support of the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency during the Secret War in Laos. We flew the T-28D Trojan, a World War II era fighter plane, conducted numerous bombing missions as part of the Hmong Special Guerrilla Unit to combat the Pathet Lao and North Vietnamese forces. Sadly, many of my fellow pilots are no longer with us. Most were shot down during the war, while others now struggle with serious health issues. Today, only 10 of us remain. To show you who I was working for, I wear a uniform from 1972, which I brought with me from Laos. On my right, you can see the emblem of the Dead 156 Special Wing Operation, an American unit stationed in Udon, Thailand. I also brought a photograph of my American instructor pilot and me. My U.S. Air Force flying certificate, which signed by a U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel John Alderson, and a certificate of recognition personally signed and presented to me by U.S. Air Force Chief of Staff General Norton Schwartz from Pentagon in Washington, D.C. Additionally, the history of Hmong pilot is honored in the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force at Dayton, Ohio. I'm here to testify a strong support of Senate Bill 568, a bill that seeks formally recognize the service and sacrifice of Hmong veterans who fought as proxy soldiers for the United States during the Secret War in Laos. Hmong people paid a heavy price for our roles supporting U.S. military operations in Southeast Asia. Thousands of Hmong men and boys took up arms alongside American forces. Like Senator said, over 30,000 Hmong soldiers perished during the war, and another 50,000 lost their life in the aftermath. Despite our vital contribution, we, Hmong veterans, have never granted a full recognition we deserve. When the U.S. withdrew from Southeast Asia, Communist force relentlessly hunted us down because our loyalty to America. We carry not only the scar of battle, but the burden of being forgotten. Today, you have the opportunity to change that. Passing this bill is not just a symbolic act. It is a profound acknowledgement of our place in U.S. history. It sends a clear message that those who fight for this nation will never be overlooked. Recognizing Hmong veterans is a crucial step toward justice and meaningful way to educate future generations about the sacrifice made to secure our nation's freedom. I urge you to support this measure and stand with us in honoring the Hmong SGU veteran who gave so much for this country. Please stand by us, who are your friends. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yi. Members, do you have questions or comments for the author or testifiers? Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. I'll be brief. Sir, regardless of the outcome of this bill, I appreciate your service and the service of everybody back there on behalf of the United States of America and the work you did many, many years ago, the work of any of your relatives. We greatly appreciate it. And whether or not this bill continues forward or ultimately becomes law, that will never change what you all did. And so we appreciate that from one veteran on behalf of the U.S. to another. Appreciate y'all. Consider you brothers in arms, and thank you for what you've done.
Members, other questions or comments? Seeing none, I do think that Senator Duckworth speaks for all of us, and I, for one, am moved by your testimony and grateful that we have an opportunity to meet you and hear from you. So thank you for being here. Senator Hurd, do you have any closing comments that you'd like to make about the bill?
Well, thank you very much. And with your word that you referenced to Senator Duckworth, meant a lot to all of us. And word of thanks alone do go a long way. But we live in a complex modern society that putting a piece of paper to recognize will be a greatest honor. I had stated before when I proposed to testify building a memorial. And there was a few objections. I said, would you like to recognize us or you want us to recognize ourselves? Because our burial ground at Jackson Cemetery or so, all the tombstone had military insignia on there. So 100 years from now, when we look back, we'll regret that we have not put on paper, make it official that we did not fully recognize the Hmong, which I took with personally too, because it's my people as well. And now serving as one of the 3 senators here, along with the other 4 members in the House, that this is the time to do it. And so I'm honored for your support as well to recognize the service sacrifice of Hmong American and my people in general. And thank you very much. I'll look forward to getting this recognition into law.
Thank you again, Senator Hurd, for bringing the bill and for bringing everyone here to testify with us and educate us and giving us a chance to learn from and honor you. Members, this bill will eventually need to be heard by state and local government, but in order to get there, it has to pass out of the Subcommittee on Veterans and go to the full Committee on Agricultural Veterans, Broadband, and Rural Development. So our first task is to pass it to the larger committee from the subcommittee. So Senator Kupec moves that Senate File 568 be passed and referred to the Committee on Agricultural Veterans, Broadband, and Rural Development. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Senate File 568 has been passed and
Thank you.
referred to the Committee on Agriculture, Veterans, Broadband, and Rural Development. Thank you again very much for the presentation and for being here with us today.
This one? Yeah, why don't you give that a go, sir?
Is there another one? Wait a second. Laptop.
There we go.
We got new jobs. Maybe that too, guys.
Okay, Senator Putnam, you have Senate File 1959.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Senate File 1959 is the agency funding bill for the 2026-27 biennium. It sets the agency funding and priorities from the four main appropriation areas. First is general support, which covers the cost of running the agency and notably two specific programs. The Cyber Coordination Cell, or C3, provides a state interface between federal, state, and local governments utilizing the expertise of military cyber service members. This also shortens the response time needed should the National Guard be activated for a cyber response in Minnesota. And secondly, Holistic Health and Fitness, or H2F, provides a program that addresses the 5 readiness domains and allows the rehabilitation and recovery of service members into a deployable state. The second major category is maintenance of training facilities, authorizes the repair and maintenance of National Guard real property assets throughout the 65 communities in the state. Third, the enlistment incentives that authorize for state tuition reimbursement and state reenlistment bonuses to service members. And last, emergency services generally authorizes the procurement and maintenance of communications equipment used for domestic responses. Mr. Chair, we have some tremendous experts both on how our military works and how MDVA works and how military affairs and work as well. So I'm just going to be quiet now and let them be smart.
Always a wise choice, Senator Putnam. So first we have Brad Lindsay, Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Veterans.
Actually, Mr. Chair, my name is Major General Sean Mankey, the Adjutant General. And Mr. Chair, Senator Putnam, thanks for the overview. And I'd just like to start out by saying Mr. Kerr, who's normally with us here today, is not here today. He had hip surgery yesterday, but he's recovering well. And I'm sure you will see him by the end of the session because he's already up telling us what we should be doing for the Department of Military Affairs. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lieutenant Colonel Athman to run us through the details of this.
Hey, good afternoon. For the record, my name is Lieutenant Colonel Eric Athman. I'm the Director of Operations for the Minnesota Department of Military Affairs. Senator Putnam, the chair, did a fantastic job in highlighting the specific budget requests that we have that we're bringing forward to the committee today. So on the screen, you'll see the areas specifically where we're asking for increases above the base budget. And we'll go through a few of those to just kind of highlight the so what of each of those particular programs. Really, when you look at the base budget, you'll see that the total is $30 million, and we abbreviate everything SFY because we deal a lot with federal funds, so we also have an FFY for state fiscal year 26 and 27. Notably, you'll see that there's a larger increase within enlistment incentives, and that is due to a plus-up of $2 million in FY 26 and $6 million in 27 to help support some of our programs that we have within the incentives realm. Incentives really are a fantastic thing that we have going within the Minnesota National Guard. Some of the incentives that we offer include state tuition reimbursement, state reenlistment bonuses, reclassification bonuses, and a certification program to make sure that our military medics stay qualified. This is one of the key advantages that the Minnesota Guard has relative to some of the other states, and specifically against the United States Army Reserve or Air Force Reserve. We are able to offer those state incentives in addition to what we might typically be offered on the federal side. I talked a little bit about state reenlistment bonuses. This program, as you'll see on the slide, has been wildly successful. And really, the state fiscal year 25, we had to pause the program because it was utilized to such an extent that we thought we were going to overrun our budget, right? So we had to put a pause on that as of the first of this year. to make sure that we're doing the best thing for our taxpayers and making sure that we don't overrun the appropriation. But that's partially why we're coming to you today to look to see if we can increase that appropriation. Each budget year, that amount in state enlistment incentives is reduced back to $12.14 million or $114 million. So we come back before you each year to increase that back to an operating capacity that we need to continue on. Each one of these bonuses that you see on the screen represents a 3-, 4-, or 6-year commitment by a service member to continue to serve the state of Minnesota. The paltry amount that we give to them, while we're absolutely thankful for, really helps us to invest the overall investment that we've made in those soldiers and airmen. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of training in some of these individuals, and really our individuals are really eligible for this first at the 6-year mark and sometimes at the 12-year mark to do a re-enlistment. Every time we get them to say yes means we're going to get another 3, 4, or 6 years out of those service members, and really those are the experienced individuals that we want to keep around long term. Going to one of our new programs that was created last biennium is the Cyber Coordination Cell, or the C3. The authorization, the creation of this program allowed us to bring on some full-time staff, as well as buy some equipment that would be needed for a cyber response. Prior to the creation of this team, it would have taken us anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks just to get regional laptop kits shipped to us, then configured to be able to go and assist a state or local government in a cyber response. With this, we were able to create some cyber activation kits, and our response time has been cut down dramatically. In addition, the C3 team has been winning awards. They won the Minute Team of the Year, which it's notable since it's our first year of competition for that type of an award. This really does help take and bridge the gap between our traditional military members, which make up a cyber protection team, with our full-time forces to, in the event of a cyber response, we'll be able to respond just as quickly to this as we would anything else. And the last program to highlight is really the Holistic Health and Fitness Program. We thank the legislature for giving us one-time funding to build an Army Combat Fitness Center in Arden Hills, Minnesota. It's under construction. Sorry, it'll be under construction here shortly. Design is just finishing up. But this program really helps us, much in the same way that the re-enlistment program does, is this really helps us invest in soldiers and airmen long-term. So if someone has a physical ailment, say an aviator that's got 15 years of service has a knee problem, right? We have individuals that are kinesiologists or physical therapists that can help rehabilitate that individual instead of letting them just go to a medical separation board and losing that asset that we have into the future. In addition, it really speaks to the 5 domains of fitness, including physical, mental, nutritional, spiritual, and sleep. We have individuals that specialize in these areas. And one item of note is we have been kind of leaders at the state level in this capacity. Compo 1, or the active duty, has anywhere from 40 to 60 individuals, civilians, full-time in each Army Brigade combat team, which is around 5,000 soldiers. This program really hasn't come to the reserve component yet. Minnesota has taken the lead in setting this up, and as a result of that, we do expect that we're going to start to see federal funding in state fiscal year 27. So at this time, we're only asking for a 1-year appropriation to keep this going until we can get a cooperative agreement set up with the federal government. So with that, that was a lot of budget information. We covered most of these slides when we did our agency overview brief, and the chair did a great job in covering the details of those programs. We'll stand by for any questions the committee may have.
Sure. What am I going to your second testifier?
Mr. Chair, we can also separate this by
Sure.
military affairs and MDVA if you'd prefer.
I will defer to you on that. What would you prefer? Members, how about you? Any questions? Senator Anderson looks like he wants to jump in.
Thank you,
so go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair. I see you have change items here on the list, and I see that your cyber coordination, there were recommendations, and now you've dropped those recommendations as far as the governor to 297 and 303. And I'm wondering, is that going to downgrade the effectiveness of the cyber coordination or not by taking less money in the next biennium?
Senator Putnam, I think council has possibly the answer we're looking for.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Senator Anderson. I didn't have a chance to walk through the spreadsheet with the committee just to orient everybody, and I think there just might be some confusion on the line number. I think the line that you're looking at is the base for the program on line 17 there. And so you'll see that's carried over. If you go down to the change item down below, there's a separate block on line 24, which I think is carrying the numbers that Lieutenant Colonel Ackman was referencing.
So, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
That's an increase to what was located on 17, the change item. Is that what you're saying?
Mr. Chair? Go ahead. Yes, that's correct, Senator Anderson.
So we're going from 750, we're going from 600, so we're going up to 1,350 million, or 1.35 million for okay, that's the confusion. I didn't quite catch all the minutia and all that. Thank you.
Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. And Senator Putnam, this is just some feedback for you in particular. I'm pretty partial, for obvious bias reasons, to all the budget requests we just heard. But I know once we get targets and we start looking holistically at the budget and everything, I really want to underscore the importance and significance of the enlistment incentives. That's critical, absolutely critical to our manning and to our personnel. And as we have become further and further removed from the conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan, the experience of combat veterans or experience in general among the personnel in our ranks diminishes every day. So the more enlisted folks we can keep longer, the better it is in terms of the knowledge and experience that gets shared across our entire force, whether it be the Minnesota Army Guard or the Minnesota Air Guard. And so those enlistment incentives are absolutely critical. So I would just hope that you continue to fight for that aspect of this budget when we ultimately have to make the final decisions. So thank you very much.
Senator Putnam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Duckworth, for that feedback. That's incredibly helpful. And I'm sure it also kind of impresses your boss over here.
Senator Duckworth.
No comment.
Members, any other questions? If not, we will proceed to the next section, Senator Putnam.
So.
Okay. Major General Mankey. Done. Great. Would you like Commissioner Lindsay to come up?
There we are.
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
Go.
I was just going to say, Mr. Chair, since we've already sort of had a general overview, I defer to the Commissioner and MDVA to simply begin their presentation, if you're comfortable with that.
Thank you. I was going to cut you completely out of the picture.
That would be great.
Anyway.
That's a better move.
Commissioner, you can state your name and begin your testimony when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, committee members. I'm Brad Lindsay. I am the Commissioner of Veterans Affairs for the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs. Thank you for having us here today. So just a little overview. We have our introduction, our budget recommendations, our neutral policy items, and then some of our change item summaries. Just to point out our picture there, that's last year, Vets Day on the Hill, which is sponsored by the Commander's Task Force and the Minnesota Association of County Veteran Service Officers. If you could read those signs, they're all calling for a Veterans Omnibus Bill for another year. And they will also be holding that event again on April 9th, so I'm sure they would appreciate all of you attending that as well. Next slide, please. So Minnesota has made historic investments in serving Minnesota's veterans over the last 6 years. We've added 3 new state veterans homes, 1 new state veterans cemetery. We have statutory authorization for another state veterans cemetery near Bemidji. We've done the post 9/11 service bonus, which was paid out to 26,077 Minnesota veterans from that era and their survivors, totaling $27.3 million. And we had over $20 million appropriated to functionally end veterans homelessness. And as you can see, the picture up there was from our Preston Veterans Home dedication in June. All of the 3 new homes have been operating just a little over a year now, generally. Next. Through the collaboration of the legislature and the administration, the long sought-after goal of opening those 4 new facilities has come to fruition. Minnesota's veterans homes are open in Bemidji, Montevideo, and Preston. Our Minnesota State Veterans Cemetery in Redwood Falls is also open. Funding and support from the legislature helped the department support work that led to 5 additional continuums of care in Minnesota declaring a functional end to veterans homelessness. 4 had been declared previously, so 9 total. The state has a total of 10. The only one left is Ramsey County right now. Our numbers say we've actually met it in Ramsey County, but with changes in the federal government, we're having a little delay in trying to get recognition of that for the state and for that COC. In July 2019, we added Southeast Minnesota's continuum of care. November of 2020 was a suburban metro area. November of 21 was a central COC. June 2022 was St. Louis County COC. October 2024 was Hennepin. As of March 17, 2025, 4,182 veterans have been housed off the Homeless Veteran Registry since it was created in 2014. Minnesota is poised to become the 4th state in the country to have achieved functional zero for veterans experiencing homelessness. That event up on the screen is the Central COC held in St. Cloud back in November of 2021. This is our current base budgets. So the programs, it should be noted that the programs and services operational base budget for 26-27 was reduced already by nearly $500,000, and the Veteran Cemetery's starting base is down $1 million for the biennium. Those were due to initial appropriations, which were reduced in the later years as ongoing. In 24, there were one-time investments in the homeless initiatives and the post-9/11 service bonus, in addition to grants for several nonprofits. So that's also why that number is significantly reduced as well. The Veterans Homes operational base budget for 26-27 was also reduced by nearly $15 million from the 25 base, again due to those out years being reduced from the initial appropriations for 24-25. Next. So our proposed change items, we're asking for a 20.7% increase to the base budget for the healthcare division, requesting resources to gradually move towards full staffing and filling of the 3 new veterans homes. Just for your information, I think you're all well aware that post-COVID hiring and attracting healthcare workers is difficult, to say the least. So that's been an ongoing process since we've opened those 3 new homes. Right now, Bemidji, we still have 57 vacant positions to fill before we can fully fill it with our veterans up to our census level. Montevideo has 49 vacancies still, and Preston has 39 vacancies. Things are improving. We are having success. Our old flagship at Minneapolis Veterans Home, for the first time since I've been in the department, is actually fully staffed. And that's pretty incredible for such a large facility as we have there. The funds will allow the completion of this mission, avoiding empty beds and reductions in revenue and levels of service for Minnesota veterans under our care. Funds will ensure state requirements are met under federal funding agreements for the new homes. As you're aware, all of those new homes were partially funded by federal construction grants from the Federal Department of Veterans Affairs. And so we have obligations under those agreements to staff those up and fill those beds. It also includes a 2% increase to the base budget for our programs and services division, requesting resources to both meet the operating costs while working toward the goal of achieving functional zero statewide with homelessness, continuing the progress made towards veteran suicide prevention and other critical initiatives. Funding will prevent the state from going backwards, losing progress during the most recent biennium, as well as during the last 6 years of the administration. It should be noted for the veterans' homes, it shows a 20.7% increase to the base. However, this doesn't account for nearly $15 million reduction, or I'm sorry, that should be, $15 million reduction, which would calculate to a 13% increase actually. This may still seem rather large, however, remember, we're still hiring staff to fill those beds in those new homes. For programs and services, it shows only a 2% increase to the base. However, this doesn't account for the nearly $1.5 million reduction to the operational and cemetery base budget, which would show a percentage decrease in the base from 24 and 25. Next up. To address, maintaining current services in our state veterans homes. So this was to address the operating cost increases in the healthcare division. General fund requests include $17.93 million for 26, $21.25 for 27, and $25.68 for each subsequent year. Support our continued operations of the 8 Minnesota State Veterans Homes in Bemidji, Fergus Falls, Hastings, Laverne, Minneapolis, Montevideo, Preston, and Silver Bay. Help cover expected growth in employee compensation and benefits and other operating costs, including a 10% increase in minute services in FY25 and an additional 12.5% in minute increases in 26 and 27. And also to ensure that an additional $29 million in federal VA per diems, resident maintenance fees, and Medicare reimbursements will continue to be collected to support the operation of the state veterans homes in the FY 26-27 biennium. That's really one of the things I want to stress is there's this ramp up period. And as I said, with the staffing, allows us to admit more veterans allow us to receive more revenues back from the federal VA and Medicare and other sources like that. Just in the last quarter, or I should say, the first half of the fiscal year, our revenues have increased by 33%. So we're working to help ourselves in our budget as we move along. On the programs and services side, again, maintaining our current services, addressing the cost of operating increases in the programs and services division. Those requests include $393,000 in fiscal year 26, $796,000 in each subsequent year. This, again, is to help cover expected growth in employee compensation and benefits, other operating costs, including those minute increases. Not funding this request would result in a detrimental impact on operations that serve Minnesota veterans, their families, and potential staff reductions. I will just gloss over this one quickly because it's been heard in committees. It was heard in the House this morning, and we understand the views that are out there, but this is a bill, the claims predator or claim sharks as it's sometimes called, looking to address that issue for Minnesotans since the federal government has not seemed to be able to address it so far. And this is identical to language that is supported by the Commander's Task Force and the Minnesota Association of County Veteran Service Officers. Next. This is a Gold Star and Blue Star Family Memorial Plaque authorization. So I signed last year at the National Association of State Directors of Veterans Affairs just a pledge that we would do more things in all of the states, including Minnesota, to recognize our Gold Star families. We have funding through Support Our Troops funds that could pay for this, so there's actually no cost to this, but we would like this authorization to create a Gold Star and Blue Star family plaque out on the Court of Honor. And that is the change item summary. I think we talked about most of this, but again, 2% increase to the base. Doesn't account for the $1.5 million reduction to the operational and cemetery base, which would show a percentage decrease from 24-25. And for the homes, it shows a 20.9% increase However, this doesn't account for the 15 million reduction, which would calculate to the 13% increase. Next slide. And that is the change item summary. So for the homes, 17.925 in 26, 21.245 in 27. For programs and services, 393 in 26, 796 in 27. No cost on those other items. And that very last thing, or I should say next to the last thing, the angling and hunting licenses, that is something that will be carried by DNR for their costs. So with that, that is all I have, Mr. Chair, and stand for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Questions from members? Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, that was awfully kind of you to do for the DNR, by the way, and for veterans, so I appreciate you doing that. Quick
Yes,
question,
excellent.
can somebody elaborate on what the Healthcare Navigators Program is? It's okay if you don't know off the top of your head, but thank you.
Mr.
Chair?
Lindsay.
Yes, Senator. So it's part of our veterans suicide prevention initiatives. So the theory is that, or the fact is that most of veterans that are found to have committed suicide were not connected to VA benefits and services, the majority. The theory is we will put these navigators into civilian hospitals, and when veterans come in either for psychological services or just for services in general, they'll be directed by caseworkers to our navigators to try to get them connected to those benefits, because just being connected seems to reduce the likelihood of suicide.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Senator Duckworth.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And if I'm reading the budget proposal correctly, or this bill correctly, the funding for that's going to be maintained. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And just one more comment, Mr.
Sure,
Chair.
Senator.
Senator Putnam, I just wanted to thank you for the work that you've been doing in regard to the Claim Shark bill and accreditation. I know that you're still having conversations. I appreciate that, so I'm really not going to dive into it on this bill. Just know that I and others and a lot of folks that are looking for a good solution appreciate the work that you're doing, and look forward to what's hopefully a good end product by the time we're said and done. So thank you.
Senator Kunish.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question for you around access to services. President Trump had an executive order barring trans people from enlisting and serving in the military, and suggested that it was also sent out that members of the Minnesota National Guard were received an email instructing those with gender dysphoria to voluntarily separate, and that follows the executive order from President Trump. And so my question for you is, are those members, I don't know if they will be kicked out of the military, if they leave voluntarily, do they have access, having served both at the national level and the state level, do those persons have access to these services still and for a lifetime?
Commissioner Lindsay.
Mr. Chair, Senator, it all depends on what their character of discharge ultimately is. And in some cases also the amount of time they've served. So Minnesota law defines a veteran as someone who has at least 181 days of active duty or was activated from the Guard or Reserve for any period of active duty and served that period honorably and completed it. There are honorable is the highest level. General discharges are also acceptable for most benefits purposes. If it was anything below that, it would have an effect on benefits.
Senator Kunish.
But specifically, trans people, would they still be eligible if they meet all those requirements?
Yes, sure. They would, Senator. Yes,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair.
Thank you.
Senator Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Putnam, you have in here Article 2, was mentioned by Commissioner Lindsay, but in the article, it says that Article 2 copies section of 1894 will be amended out. Is that correct, or what's your intention with this language being in the bill, and yet in here it says that it's going to be amended out of the bill? So I'm just, is there going to be a motion yet today to take Article 2 out of the bill, or what's your thoughts?
Senator Putnam?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator Anderson, for the question. It is a process we're still engaged in about how best to come up with language that works to do the things that we need to do to protect veterans from claim predators. So we are still working on that language as in the standalone bill to try and perfect that to the extent that we can.
But, Mr. Chair.
Senator Anderson?
Senator Putnam, the bill 1894 was amended to take and strike out the words accreditation in that bill, and that's in Judiciary tomorrow. So I'm just wondering, the same language that's in this bill here is still, that's the original bill. Is that correct?
Senator Putnam?
Mr. Chair, Senator Anderson, yes, that is correct.
So you're going to go a two process type means by which to take that language and go forward?
Senator Putnam?
Mr. Chair, Senator Anderson, as I said, we're working on the standalone language to fix that to the extent that we can, and then we'll bring things into alignment once everything is done. And note also that in the conference committee, we're going to have to engage with what the House has decided to do as well. So I would just say that, Senator, I ask for a bit of patience as we work this through and try to find a solution that works for everyone, but ultimately one that protects veterans from people who are trying to exploit them, which is, I think, our shared goal.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, Senator Putnam, any final parting words?
Mr. Chair, thank you, committee, for your indulgence. Thank you also for our experts in, Commissioner Lindsay and General Menke and all the friends who were here to tell us all the stuff we needed to know.
Okay, thank you. And with that, so Senate File 1959 will be laid over.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, committee.
Yeah, Senator Putnam, don't go anywhere. Okay, Senator Putnam is back with Senate File 1893.
Mr. Chair, I do have an amendment. I'd like to move the A3 amendment, if I may, please.
Okay, Senator Putnam moves the A3 amendment. All those in favor of the A3 amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? A3 amendment is adopted.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Members, we've just heard great news from Commissioner Lindsay about the tremendous work the state of Minnesota has done to functionally end homelessness in our veterans communities, which is long overdue, but still something to celebrate. As we have ended homelessness, we've also discovered the tremendous need for food insecurity, which is a profound issue facing veterans throughout the state. But I want to suggest that it's especially acute in greater Minnesota. And this appropriation, this bill, would fund a Meals on Wheels program for veterans in greater Minnesota. We also know that as this is an issue for veterans, food insecurity is a huge problem for seniors and for people throughout the state. This appropriation would provide not just nutrition, not just food, but also occasional company from the folks who are bringing the meals to people. So this is an incredibly important initiative and one that I hope can earn your support. And so today, Mr. Chair, if we would, I'd like to turn over to our testifiers to give a little bit more detail.
Okay, thank you, Senator Putnam. And as like a news anchor who looks at the teleprompter and sees a name, I will take my best shot at this, and please correct me if I am wrong. Amy Viert?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Amy Vagert.
Yeah, there we go. Thanks.
I'm actually going to let our other testifier speak first.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Janiga.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Greetings, Chair and members. My name's Dr. Christy Janigo, the American Legion Department of Minnesota Legislative Chair and the Minnesota Association of County Veteran Service Officers Legislative Chair. The Commander's Task Force, of which the Legion is a member, along with the 7 other congressionally chartered veteran service organizations, has chosen this bill, SF 1893, as one of their 5 key legislative priorities this year. Food insecurity is a growing problem among Minnesota veterans. State lawmakers took a big bite out of this problem in the last biennium with $540,000 per year in legislative funding to Metro Meals on Wheels for Hennepin, Anoka, and Ramsey counties. So first, I want to say thank you for that. As an Assistant County Veteran Service Officer supporting formerly homeless and justice-involved veterans in the metro area, I've signed up several veterans for the meals funded under this appropriation. One of my post-9/11 veterans was navigating justice involvement in the 4th District Veterans Treatment Court, as well as severe mental health concerns. After we saved his house from foreclosure through the successful delivery of veteran grants and benefits, we set up the Meals on Wheels to further stabilize his life. A senior Vietnam-era veteran who had been homeless and living out of his van for months finally received an apartment through HUD-VASH, and as early as his first full week there, he had his meals regularly brought to his home. This is a near immediate, low barrier, and tangible way to deliver support. When Senators Howe and Barr voted against the Veterans Omnibus bill last year because there was no funding for veterans' food insecurity outside the largest counties, we heard you loud and clear. And we agree, more needs to be done for the remaining 84 mid-sized, smaller, and rural counties. Geography should not leave some veterans hungrier than others. That's why this bill proposes $500,000 per year in funding as an increase to the Lutheran Social Services CORE, or the Casework Outreach Referral and Education Program, LSS CORE, budget, which is administered by the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs, or MDVA, where the infrastructure is ready to scale up to meet the need. Some facts about food insecurity and veterans. In 2023, 12 to 14% of U.S. veterans were found to be food insecure. 1 in 4 of the food insecure veterans were under the age of 65. 20 to 28% were female veterans. 35% were veterans experiencing serious mental health challenges. Almost half of food insecure veterans were or are experiencing homelessness. Rising food prices since the pandemic have driven higher rates of food insecurity for everyone. COVID-19 increased food insecurity among veterans by 40%. And specifically in Minnesota, according to Lutheran Social Services, more than 1 in 5 adults living in rural Minnesota with food insecurity are veterans. There are multiple issues that make food insecurity among veterans even more challenging in the rural areas. One is the stigma and shame in asking for help in a community where everybody knows everybody. That discourages veterans who are already hesitant to ask for help from reaching out. Transportation is an issue, especially for disabled veterans who may have mobility issues and because of long distances to resources. Many veterans are also not aware of veteran-specific resources available to them, since outreach is lacking in these parts of the state. Furthermore, the health of the food has been a concern where many of the food resources are dry or canned goods, foods too rich in sugars, carbohydrates, fats, and overly processed foods. We do have a big problem with type 2 diabetes in the veterans community, hypertension, and several other conditions that were either caused or made worse by their service in certain theaters of duty or military installations, but they are also aggravated by an unhealthy diet. Our VA medical centers and clinics see high levels of these types of issues, and it drives a tremendous cost to treat these conditions. There is existing infrastructure to deliver food insecurity resources in the veterans community with CORE. That infrastructure would give veterans options, including meals at community dining centers, home-delivered meals, food vendor services, diners clubs where you can pick up a meal at the local restaurant, and meals to go. I'll let LSS explain more about those in their testimony. CORE has a long history of operating in rural outstate Minnesota, of partnership with MDVA as the administrators of the funding, and county veteran service officers as the referring agents. CORE is a trusted program among veterans themselves, my CVSO colleagues, and among veteran service organizations. Their other services include behavioral health counseling, caregiver support and respite, case management, financial counseling, the homeless initiative, and veteran support group. We think there are additional benefits to tackling this problem with CORE. Food insecurity referrals could be a way in, getting veterans other supports they would not otherwise look for themselves. So we hope you will all support this funding to scale up the existing CORE program to meet this need among veterans in the rest of Minnesota. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Favorite?
Thank you, Chair and committee members. Again, my name is Amy Vagert, and I'm the Senior Director of Meals for Lutheran Social Service of Minnesota. LSS Meals has been serving meals to Minnesotans since 1973, and we provide meal options through our congregate dining, home-delivered meals, otherwise known as Meals on Wheels, our frozen shipped meals, and contracted meals for youth programs and daycares. In 2024, we served over 1.5 million meals to adults and youth in need that helped individuals and families stay healthy and live independently in their communities. Providing meals to CORE clients is a relatively recent addition to our meal program to address food insecurity. We started providing meals to CORE clients in April of 2024. And since then, we've reached 259 families, feeding 334 individuals throughout the state in 23 cities, including Virginia, Duluth, Detroit Lakes, Brainerd, Hibbing, and Amboy. So far, we've provided 5,811 meals to veterans and their families, but we know there is a high need for meals beyond the current CORE funding that's available. The CORE clients we serve have consistently expressed their gratitude and appreciation for the meals they received. One team member shared that their CORE client is the main caregiver for their spouse and was grateful for the excellent quality meals that allowed them to focus their other cares needed for their loved one. Many of the clients and main caregivers have not been the main meal preparer in the home and did not necessarily have the skills to prepare the meals. So this was a huge help for them when caring for their spouse was their main priority. We have the infrastructure and capacity to meet the needs of individuals statewide. The LSS meal team located in Eagle Bend, Minnesota at Hilltop Regional Kitchen just expanded storage capacity for frozen meal storage. With additional funding, this team would be able to sustain year-round support for meals to veterans and their families above our historical meal rates and individuals served. In conclusion, LSS is grateful for the opportunity to support veterans and their families through a range of high-quality supportive services, and we support increased funding to the CORE program as proposed in Senate File 1893 to help more Minnesotans access these services. Thank you.
Okay, with that, members, any questions? Senator Wiesenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was laughing here, talking to Senator Acorn before you started because I said I was talking to Senator Liskey about the amendment this morning that I didn't know existed. So it's good. Yeah, thank you.
Senator Kunesh.
Thanks very much, and really appreciate the work that Lutheran Services does for our communities, and especially when it comes to accessing and providing food for all groups of people. My question is, how much local food, like farm to food shelf, does Lutheran Services have access to?
Ms. Fager.
Thank you, Chair. Currently, we work with a local food vendor, and they provide the different manufacturers, such as say production sources for us. And so we do have that information available, and I could get that for you from a local standpoint.
That's really great. And then I know that, again, a lot of our local food shelves and Lutheran Social Services have been affected by the cuts that's coming out of the federal government, specifically to the lack in funding or withdrawing foods, especially here in Minnesota. And I believe that Lutheran Services has had to cut a number of staff. And so I'm wondering if you foresee any of this affecting these services to the veterans that you have been able to provide.
Ms. Fager.
Thank you, Chair. Currently, our team that is producing these meals, they had historically been producing the meals that we have been serving to CORE clients. So the team we have in place right now has the ability to produce this amount of meals.
Great.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I will add in, I think the other thing we forget about Meals on Wheels too is that it is oftentimes that connection that somebody brings that, and in some cases, maybe the only connection they're having that day, and that's a really also important component of the work that you do. So thank you for bringing this forward. Senator Putnam, any last thoughts?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair. I couldn't say it better than you did.
Okay, and then with that, Senate File 1893 is held over for possible inclusion.
Senator Kupec, Senate File 2550. The Fargo Memorial Honor Guard construction. Senator Kupec, that is the bill we want to do, yes?
Sure.
Okay.
That's what we got. Yeah.
Just making
That's
sure.
what these guys are here, unless you want to talk about.
Unless they'd like to talk about something else, and they're welcome to. Senator Kupec, to the bill, if you could,
All right.
please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members of the committee. This is a Senate File 2550. We are looking to appropriate some money for a national veterans cemetery that is, yes, located in Fargo, North Dakota. We have a group here that's a nonprofit that they've been working on getting a building built. The cemetery is out to the north of Fargo, and it is on the windswept plains of the prairie, and you can imagine in the wintertime what that is like holding a service there. So they have a building, a design that's in the works that they'd like to put up on there to just get some shelter from the weather, a nice respectable place when families come to honor their loved one that's going to be buried there, to have that. And you might say, well, why are you doing this for a building that is in Fargo, North Dakota? Well, it is a national cemetery, and it does also serve basically the 7th Congressional District, which is the western side of Minnesota. So there are Minnesotans that will also be there. And so it is, I think, an important part that maybe we also contribute a little bit of money. I will say when the building is completed, it will be turned over to the Veterans Administration, who will then run and maintain the building after the funds have been gathered for this. So I've got a couple of testifiers here that can tell you about where they have gone also to gather some funds from that, also from the state of North Dakota. So the appropriation you will notice on the bill is an open appropriation. Did that because of the idea of not knowing how much money we would have for a budget, but I think, we'll get maybe what they think is an appropriate amount given what the other state has put in. Obviously, it serves more of North Dakota, and so they would probably carry more of the load, but I think anything that we could do to help in this cause would be worthwhile. So with that, I will turn it over to my testifiers.
Thank you very much, Senator Kupec. We have Mr. Grom and Mr. Hicks. Whoever would like to go first, please state your full name for the record and commence your testimony when you're ready.
My name is James Grallum. I'm the project coordinator, fundraiser for the Fargo Memorial Honor Guard, and I have a written testimony. As a veteran and a former member of the Minnesota National Guard and current Memorial Honor Guard member, I'm presenting this testimony to provide the detailed information regarding the Fargo National Cemetery and this Veterans Memorial Center. My title is the project coordinator, which means jack of all trades. My primary responsibility is the fundraising for the Veterans Memorial Center. Since the opening of the Fargo National Cemetery in the fall of 2019, the absence of the building has emerged as a primary concern that requires attention. Despite adverse weather conditions, the Fargo Memorial Honor Guard performs the final military honors throughout the year. Whether rain, snow, heat, or cold, the Fargo Memorial Honor Guard consistently supports the deceased veteran's family with their dedicated presence. The Fargo National Cemetery provides services to North Dakota, western Minnesota, and northeast South Dakota. It is the sole federal cemetery between Fort Snelling, here in St. Paul or Bloomington, the Black Hills National Cemetery down in South Dakota, and the Yellowstone National Cemetery in Billings, Montana. We have received donations from 251 entities from Minnesota, including businesses, service organizations, social clubs, fraternal groups, and individuals. This encompasses areas such as Alexandria, Middle River, Bemidji, and Ore Road. Currently, we have over 302 donors that have donated $500 or more throughout the region. These contributors understand the importance of the Veterans Memorial Center initiative, which aims to provide a serene and welcoming setting for the families and friends to honor and remember our fallen comrades. This project aims to enhance the Fargo National Cemetery by constructing a facility that will provide shelter from the weather, a chapel, gathering space, a gallery, restrooms, and a parking lot. For these reasons, I'm requesting assistance from the Minnesota State Legislators in securing funding to support the construction of the Veterans Memorial Center at the Fargo National Cemetery. Although this building will be in North Dakota, is for all the veterans from the northwest part of the great state of Minnesota. Thank you for considering funding for this important project for the veterans and their families.
Thank you, Mr. Grohl. Mr. Hicks, if you'll please state your full name for the record and commence your testimony when you're ready.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jason Hicks. Hicks is my last name. I am the commander of the Fargo Memorial Honor Guard. Our group of people go out in the conditions every single day, no matter what the weather, to conduct last military rites during a service. We'll do it in the heat of the summer and in the dead blizzard blowing of winter. There is no structure whatsoever out there for us to take shelter in before or after a ceremony. At times, we are doing 5 ceremonies a day. In between ceremonies, we sit in our cars. That's the basic gist of it. This being a national cemetery, it's part of the rural initiative, one of the 3 in the country. There was no provision to put any structure out there, nor is there currently any funding available from the federal government. That's why we're here at the state of Minnesota asking. We are also currently asking the state of North Dakota for money. I had given a PowerPoint presentation to Mr. Roth there, and it'll show the building that we designed. We contacted several state cemeteries, including the one right outside of Camp Ripley, and find out what can be done, what do you guys do, what would you do better if you could. So we took input from every organization to come up with this building concept. That being said, our organization is unique in the fact that it involves members from the American Legion, the VFW, Vietnam Veterans of America, the Disabled American Veterans, AMVETS, Marine Corps League, several organizations from 2 states. We came together as veterans knowing that this could not be handled by one single organization, thus the creation of the Fargo Memorial Honor Guard. It is somewhat misleading when it's called the Fargo National Cemetery because the actual address is Harwood, North Dakota, but it is in West Fargo's extraterritorial area. So it's somewhat misleading when you say Fargo National Cemetery, right? This is the Arlington National Cemetery for North Dakota. That being said, it covers a huge portion, as Senator Kupec said, 7th District basically from Alexandria north, and then everything over between. If you mirror it, in fact, with my former unit of assignment, the 2 of the 136th Infantry, it covers that whole area. So it's very large. We get donations from every type of organization you can think of, fraternal, civic. I can speak, I myself live in Hitterdall, Minnesota. I drive 40 miles one way to conduct services at the National Cemetery. So needless to say, I can't just whiz home in between ceremonies, anything like that. But I can tell you that there is no greater honor that we have to conduct these ceremonies. There is no amount of pay that any of us get. That being said, there's honestly no amount of money that could pay us for what we do because it's that heartfelt and we feel that dedicated to it. I am by far one of the youngest guys on the Honor Guard. Our oldest member is 85 years old. He's our Sergeant of the Guard. He has missed about 4 ceremonies out of well over 1,000. That tells you the level of dedication that some of our people have. We are constantly getting more and more members. Of course, they're not, as I quote, young like me, but they do have time. We are always looking for volunteers and opportunities, so forth. To date, we ourselves, and with the efforts of Mr. Grohlum, we've raised over $1.5 million through letters, speeches like this at different civic organizations, things like that. And we're just looking for some contribution from the state to help fund this, because we have been told unequivocally there will be no federal money put forward to this. That being said, once the building is all said and done, we will literally turn over the keys to the VA. They will take over the maintenance, upkeep of the building, and it'll have a place for the families to conduct a service and for the honor guard to get out of the elements. And I would just ask for a pass resolution on this. Being a veteran myself, a Minnesota resident, and there's 2 places my name is going to be out there, on my tombstone and on the wall of donors. That's it. None of us are in it for any type of recognition, because that's the last thing. We're there for the veterans and their families first and foremost. And I'm open to any questions that anyone might have. It's a very complex situation.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks, for doing this work, for your service, and for your testimony as well, Mr. Graham. So for Senator Kupec or perhaps Mr. Hicks, just a curiosity to kind of flesh out our understanding of the proposal. Is there a desired or logic ratio of different kinds of contributions? For example, Minnesota gives this much, North Dakota gives this much, and we put the squeeze on South Dakota and they pay for the whole thing? Like, is there any kind of math in there for us to figure out what levels of contribution we can hope for as we figure out how we can help?
I can tell you that we asked the state of North Dakota for $3 million. Our project is going to cost between $4.5 and $5 million. Ourselves, as I said, we have raised $1.5 million. The excess money available, or if there is any excess money available, it'll be put into an endowment for future improvements at the National Cemetery. And then also, quite honestly, to buy honor guard uniforms. When we started our organization, we bought these ourselves because we had no funding in place for anything. That's the level of dedication that our volunteers have.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Senator Anderson has a question. Senator Anderson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It says here from the general fund to the Commissioner of Veterans Affairs. Have you had conversations with the Commissioner of Veterans Affairs regarding your request?
We have not. We met with Senator Kupec, what, 3 weeks ago?
Senator Kupec, maybe you've had conversations?
Sure. I have brought, to their attention that I have this bill and I am funding that, and, I think, I don't think I had feedback either way on it, but I think it's, it's
Well,
the money portion of it will be the question.
Thank you, Senator Kupec. So you've had conversations and they're aware. Thank you, Senator Kupec. Senator Anderson.
So we don't know how the Commissioner of Veterans Affairs, he knows about it, but he hasn't responded in one way or the other. Am I correct in saying that?
Senator Kupec?
That's a fair assessment, sure.
Okay. So because it's coming out of his budget from what I can gather here, and I was just wondering if he declines, will you go to capital investment with a request? Because this is building, my understanding, a chapel, a parking lot, and a related infrastructure, whatever that, is that like a lean-to or something? We'll keep those who do military funerals out of the wind or out of the weather?
Senator Kupec.
Well, I can take the part about going to capital investment. This is a nonprofit group, so I don't think capital investment would be, unless we had some cash in that area, capital investment is not an option for this.
So, Mr. Chair, I'm looking at how this works if the Veterans Affairs Commissioner doesn't go along with this idea, because it's coming out of his budget. So I think it's a great idea. I have no problem with it. It's just, are all people on board that are being implicated here in the bill. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
That's a good concern, Senator Anderson. Thank you for sharing. Any other questions? Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick comment. Well, I hope at some point maybe some federal dollars can be found, but if that's not the case, and the states that we've talked about ultimately contribute or partner on this, it would be kind of cool if and when this structure is built, you go out there and you visit it and it says, this was built or funded, in combination by the people of the states of North, South Dakota, and Minnesota, just so folks know that it was a joint effort. And if North Dakota objects strongly to a plaque, I took a peek. It's not that far across the border. We could always just make this place a part of Minnesota. And it would just fund all of it, just saying. I see that blue cord. You know what I'm talking about. You could probably make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Duckworth. Members, are there questions or comments, perhaps that are a little less imperial? Seeing none, Senator Kupec, do you have any closing statements?
Sure. No, I will. I was reminded that in the past, we have this committee has given money to the Fisher House, which is also, which actually will end up being built in Minnesota, but it also was the North Dakota start to it too. And I will say, to Senator Anderson's concerns, part of this I think is we bring these good ideas forward, and we realize that the money is tight, but we lay all the good ideas, I think, on the table and then see what we have left at the end, which one rises to the top and which ones we will fund. So,
Mr. Chair,
Senator Anderson?
I don't know if we want to lay them on the table. I just think throw them up in the air and hopefully they'll all materialize.
whatever wizardry you have, Senator Anderson, I will gladly go along with.
And if I could make a suggestion that when they do put that plaque up there with North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, that we put that in alphabetical order.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. So Senate File 2550 will be laid over for possible inclusion. Thanks very much for your service, your dedication, and your time here with us today. Very much appreciated. Members, our next bill we're taking back up, and that's Senate File 1706, Human Service Data and Veterans Data Provisions. This is the bill that we must take up again to pass to the full committee. Senator Kupec, what would you like to say about the bill?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a very technical bill. It goes over a couple of things to get things in line with that. And I do believe I have an A2 amendment to this bill that I'd probably like to start with.
Senator Kupec, my understanding is that we have already passed that amendment. The bill is already amended.
Oh, I don't remember doing the A2 bill. Sure, you say so. Thanks. That was easy.
According to Council, February 24th.
Okay. Very good. We're done. It's in there. All right. So Senate File, anyway, Senate File 1706 is just make some changes to line up things, data practices with the new Department of Human Services and Department of Youth and Family Services. So just kind of lining up a few of those programs, and that is it. It's just a very technical bill. There's people here if you needed to ask a question of it, but otherwise it's really just a couple of technical changes.
So, members, just a quick reminder, we're going to vote on this to pass it to the full Agricultural, Veterans, Broadband, and Rural Development Committee. So are there any questions that you have currently about the issue or the bill? Seeing none, Senator Kupec, anything else you'd like to say, or should we just vote on it?
You should just vote on it. It's green. Vote good. All good.
So, members, Senate File 1706 as amended has been, Senator Wiesenberg moves that Senate File 1706.
I am on this committee as well. I could just.
Oh, you are right. So Senator Kupec moves that Senate File 1706 as amended should be passed and referred to the Committee on Agricultural, Veterans, Broadband, and Rural Development. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Senate File 1706 as amended has been passed and referred to the Committee on Agriculture, Veterans, Broadband, and Rural Development.
Thank
you for being so efficient,
Thank you.
Senator Kupec.
And sorry, Senator Wiesenberg could also move it too. I'd be happy with that too.
Just don't fight. Members, our last bill of the day is Senate File 488. Senator Green, if you would, please. Senator Green, when you're ready to your bill, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for hearing the bill. Senate File 488 is a bill asking for a small appropriation to help fund camp in our area for disabled and veterans that are in need of some support. I could talk about the bill a little bit, but I think that the testifiers might do a better job, and we'll let them go. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
We have 3 testifiers. Mr. Seifert, if you would please state your full name for the record and commence your testimony when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Marty Seifert with Flaherty and Hood. I'm standing in for Kara Ruff, who is a constituent of Senator Kupec, or Senator Putnam, who is director of the center down in the St. Cloud area, but she was unable to be here, so I'm going to stand in for her today. Mr. Chair, members, thank you for hearing the bill. We're here to testify for the needs of veterans at Camp Bliss, which is in northern Minnesota. Currently, veterans continue to struggle with life after their service or deployment. After serving our country, they're left to deal with extreme PTSD, anxiety, isolation, and a myriad of physical and mental disabilities as well. As a society, we expect them to simply move on. Camp Bliss is a one-of-a-kind retreat center located in Walker, Minnesota. At Camp Bliss, we listen to what our veterans want and need and develop programming to meet those needs. Specific bill language, we're able to serve not only veterans, but also their spouses and families, as well as active duty. This is critical because we know that when someone deploys, the whole family serves. We offer veterans and spouses retreats, PTSD, wellness and socialization, a turkey hunt, female veteran retreats, family retreats, and much more. By the end of the biennium, we'll provided 400 to 500 veterans and their families with life-changing retreats just in the last 2 years. In conclusion, at a time when we look at needs versus wants, we ask that you consider the significance of benefits for veterans that they gain at our retreats. Often they're experiencing significant trauma. There's a desperate need for connection with other veterans. They feel isolated and that they do not have a support system, experiencing major issues in marriages and relationships, and the list goes on. At Camp Bliss, we have a 99% satisfaction rate from our veterans. Veterans are grateful for the opportunities and told us many times these retreats have saved our marriage, helped me heal, helped me move forward, and have changed my life. Today we have 2 veterans that have attended Camp Bliss, Jesse Sprint and Kirsten Johnson, and I would ask that they take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Seifert. Mr. Sprint, if you would please state your full name for the record and commence your testimony when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, committee members. My name is Jesse Sprint. I served in the Army as an infantryman in the 10th Mountain Division and deployed to Afghanistan in 2009. Like a lot of young guys, I was damaged by the experience, both physically and mentally. After I left the service in 2010, I found myself having a great deal of trouble dealing with life after war. I often struggled to find help or even the words to describe the difficulties I was experiencing. As a result, I spent most of my time alone. A few years ago, I was given a brochure for Camp Bliss. I signed up for a couples retreat with my wife. The first time at Camp Bliss, I walked in, met a few people, and then got in my car and left as the situation was too overwhelming for me. When I called to apologize, the director, Cara, told me I was welcome back whenever I was ready. About 2 years later, we tried again and were able to stay for the entire event. Since then, I've attended 2 ice fishing events, one in January of 2024 and one in January of this year. Camp Bliss offers a beautiful place to get away from the struggles of life after war. More important than that is the opportunity to meet and converse with fellow veterans who often have similar experiences as myself. To do so in a place where I feel comfortable is something I have found to be unique to Camp Bliss. The knowledge I have gained, along with the ability to interact socially in a low-stress environment, has helped me to rehabilitate my mind more than any therapist I've ever seen or any medication I was ever prescribed. If we're going to ask our young men and women to endure the horrors of war, we need to offer them a safe place where they can recover. Camp Bliss is that place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sprint, for your testimony and for your service. Ms. Johnson, if you would please state your full name for the record and commence your testimony when you're ready.
Yes, my current name is actually Kirsten Whitman, Wittmann, recently married, so Johnson when I attended, yes.
Congratulations, then.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Buju, Mr. Chair, and members. My name's Kirsten Whitman. I served as an Army medic from 2003 to 2013. I am a 60% rated disabled veteran, and I am here in support of Senate File 488 because Camp Bliss changed my life. 2 years ago, I was a hot mess. I only found Camp Bliss because their female veteran getaway advertised as an alcohol-free experience, and I was brand new in my sobriety, and it sounded like the kind of place I could reconnect with veterans outside of a bar. I first went to the weekend in April of 2023, and just like getting off the bus at basic training, I didn't know anyone when I got there. I didn't know what I was getting into, but it helped me grow and made me a better person almost against my will. Back then, I was not rated as disabled by the VA. I had not begun the intensive therapy that this program would inspire me to take on in addressing the things that pushed me out of the service and affected me ever since. Being around other female veterans in this kind of setting offered me guidance and support to approach the intimidating VA system. In the years since, I have started getting my care at the VA. I've gone back 2 more times to Camp Bliss to maintain strong friendships and welcome new participants. And without this grant, I could not afford to attend a weekend like this because, like many women who serve, I tend to prioritize my time and money to my family and community, often putting myself last. And even being in a better space and having VA access now, this program is important to my ongoing health because Camp Bliss offers healing that can't be billed or built into a therapy session within a hospital. Healing is chatting with friends in bunk beds at lights out. Healing is walking in the Northwoods trails with the only other women in the world who have been in my boots. And healing is meditating, writing, painting, crying, and talking with women who get it. And while all of this sounds fun and fluffy, I can guarantee that the investment by the state into this program is paying back in dividends to have Minnesota veterans who are happy, healed, and giving back in service to our families and friends like we were able to when we were enlisted. The format and staff at Camp Bliss facilitated great events that allowed us to open up naturally and at our own pace, but still as a group. And it's important to note that I have attended other veteran retreats, events, and weekends, and Camp Bliss still offers one of the few female-only veteran programs that does wellness this well, that is both affordable and accessible to us in Minnesota. I am so grateful to speak on their behalf today and support this phenomenal program that we're fortunate to have in Walker, Minnesota. Thank you. Miigwech.
Thank you, Ms. Whitman. Members, do we have questions or comments? Senator Kunish.
Well, congratulations, and I hope you're blissfully happy. And thank you both for your service. These are questions for the author on the bill. And my first question is, it says in here that this is customized for the veterans and the family members, and that the commissioner can disperse the money to the grant recipient for up to 2 visits per visit for each eligible veteran or family member. Is there a limit to how many people, how many folks could come with that veteran? Is there a limit to how many family members can join them?
Senator Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Senator. I think that's better answered by the testifier.
Okay.
Mr. Seifert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Senator. We try to turn no one away, so we customize for families. We try to make sure the whole family can come, kids, spouses, significant others. The goal is always to turn no one away for the camps that are there. So in the cases when the legislature has made appropriations recently, we've been able to do the 400 to 500. It used to be more of a tiered system, and the witnesses could probably testify to that, where like combat and disabled veterans were free, and then there was like a little copay that was done. But because the legislature stepped up the last couple of years, it has essentially made it free for veterans that qualify for twice a year. And I know you're in a difficult spot, Mr. Chair, with the deficit, and I chaired the Veterans Committee when I was in the House. Representative Anderson served with me, and we had 68 seats and 66 for the other side, and I reminded the leadership and the other people with gavels that said they wanted to cut veterans that if it wasn't for my seat, you would be running your gavels through the wood chipper. So we made sure veterans were protected, and all of you at this table can tell your leadership veterans are important, and even if we get one-time money, we can customize for more veterans to attend without cost.
Senator Kunish.
Sure, I have another question. So this money can be used not only for, I'm thinking that $850 per person is a subsidy, or is that the going rate?
Senator, Mr. Chairman, it is generally the going rate for the veterans that we can serve, but it is a subsidy to the extent that we serve more people than what the legislative appropriation is.
Sure.
So we do raffles, fundraisers, private donations, requests from Legion clubs, as you've heard today from these other groups. So, you know, if we look at the appropriations from the last biennium, we've exceeded serving the number of veterans that the legislature appropriated for, but we were able to fundraise our way to serve everybody who wanted to be served.
Senator Kunish.
Sure. And then, so you can use these dollars both for those fees, but also for general maintenance. like, what would fall under that general maintenance definition?
Mr. Seifert?
Mr. Chairman, Senator, mainly those are for upkeep of the camp. So if we have downed trees, we have, windows that need repair, or just general maintenance on the camp itself, clearing trails, mowing lawn. It is essentially a subsidiary of Independent Lifestyle. So that's based in Stearns and Benton County, the area that Senator Putnam represents and Senator Hawj represents. Essentially, that is one of the 8 independent living centers that help people with disabilities. So this is like a subsidiary of that. They own Camp Bliss, they operate it, and they try to do, obviously it's a nonprofit, so they're trying to do it as a statutory nonprofit. So there's only 2 statutory nonprofits in Minnesota, Enterprise Minnesota and the Independent Living Centers. And so essentially the legislature has kind of tasked them with doing things like this.
Senator Kunish.
Yep, and then, let's see. So family member means an eligible veteran, spouse, domestic partner, or child. Does that mean that a trans veteran or a same-sex partner could also attend Camp Bliss? Are there any restrictions on that?
Mr. Seifert?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Senator Kunish, my understanding is there is not a restriction on that, and it is fit under one of the terms that you brought up there. I believe they've had the situation and were allowed, so I will double check with the director if that is not the case, and I'll make sure you know the answer.
Okay, and then just one more.
Senator Kunish.
So it's $150,000 in 2026 and $150,000 in 2027. First, if there's a balance, does that roll over? Second of all, if it's not used, would it go back to the general fund? And then third of all, is this adding it to the agency's base?
Mr. Seifert, I also add is if you could also reveal that Camp Bliss is already in the base.
Yes, Mr.
So could
Chairman.
you acknowledge those sort of funding complexities that Senator
Yeah,
Kunish is
Mr.
asking
Chairman,
about?
you are correct. It is in the base right now. We're trying to find additional funding to serve additional vets. My understanding is the money would carry over, but our goal is always to never turn a vet away or their family. And so in the limited time we've had appropriations, we've exceeded that. So our goal is always to make sure we don't have, I think the legislature wants it to be used for veterans, so we don't want to be hoarding it or keeping carryover money. It's always to outreach to the Legion clubs, the VFW. I know Jesse is an officer with his local club, so they try to do their best at marketing this to veterans, because that's really what, when Senator Murphy chaired the committee when it was in state and local government, the goal was to make sure veterans are served and that we're not holding back.
Okay, great, thank you. It sounds like a wonderful program, and I'm glad that it works so well for you and for your families.
To follow up, if I may, Mr. Seifert or Senator Green, the base appropriation is 150 a year. Could you clarify for me what the actual base appropriation is, and perhaps maybe give us a bit of discussion of what will be different with the additional resources in addition to the base funding?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I honestly, I looked into some of this, but I think that Mr. Seifert is explaining it much more eloquently than I can, so if he wants to.
Mr. Chairman, I could yield to if fiscal counsel is here on what that is, but I believe it's 150 in addition, if I'm not mistaken.
That was my sense, but a clarification would be helpful if we could, please.
Mr. Chair and members, yes, $150,000 annually is the current appropriation base for the Camp Bliss grant.
Thank you. So is there a sense of, is this additional programming that will occur, or expanding the number of veterans who can attend? Can you tell us what the difference would be between the base and the additional money?
So, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Our goal is to have additional dollars if the committee has more money, whether it be one time or additional. We want to make sure we keep our base as kind of our big goal here, that we don't go backwards, because we know that the committee chairs are going to get orders to reduce. So our goal is to keep at least what we have. If you have more, we would be able to serve more veterans. And to tell our story to the committee on what we've done, how many we've served, because I do think part of accountability is people don't just roll into the base and never show up again.
I appreciate that very much, Mr. Seifert. And I could also say that cutting $150,000 isn't going to save the state. So I appreciate your being here to talk to us about it. Senator Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And to Mr. Sprint, I just heard that you were designated as a part of an executive committee, or is there officers that you, amongst your fellow veterans, have put in place to kind of oversee and be a part of?
No, I think he was referencing a senior vice commander at the Jenkins VFW post.
Can you speak up? I couldn't quite.
So, he was speaking to, I'm the senior vice commander at the Jenkins VFW post 3839. That's what he was saying, that I was the officer.
So, Mr.
in the
Chair.
organization.
Senator Anderson.
Mr. Sprint, do you recommend, I mean, the recommendation here is, or the request is for $160,000 per year to expand and reach out to more veterans or more families to come in. Do you get together on a regular basis as officers to, say, come up with new opportunities or new ideas for those possible new vets or new families, or even the present ones that attend on a regular basis, on a twice-a-year basis?
Mr. Sprint.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The only thing that I really do, as far as what you're talking about as far as Camp Bliss, is I do refer veterans that I encounter to Camp Bliss. But we don't do anything as Jenkins VFW post directly with Camp Bliss. I've just attended it
Mr. Chair.
as a beneficiary. Yeah.
Senator Anderson.
Thank you. Just want to say thank you, Mr. Sprint, and thank you, Ms. Whitman, for your service and for getting the help that you need, and Camp Bliss is a means by which to kind of break you out of a kind of a shell that you were in from being in the service. And so thank you. Thank you, Senator Green.
Members, any other questions or comments for the author or his testifiers? Seeing none, Senator Green, do you have a final closing statement?
Just to say thank you. I think it would be hard for me to add to what my testifiers have already spoken in such eloquent language. And the only thing that I would say is I don't carry a lot of bills, especially spending bills. But I think that as much money as the government probably spends where I wouldn't like it, one of our key obligations is to provide for the safety of the people of this country. And I think it's incumbent on us to make sure we provide for the people that provided that safety. So thank you for hearing the bill.
Senate File 488 will be laid over for possible inclusion. Members, that's our last order of business for the day. I just want to give you a bit of a forecast of where we're going and what we're about. Those of us on the Agricultural Committee will be meeting on this Friday to go through some of our final bill presentations on agriculture. Then the subsequent week, Monday, will again be an Agriculture Day. Then on Wednesday, 26th, our intention is to do a presentation of our budget. And then on Friday, the 28th, to mark it up. So we are going to ask you to hopefully have some time available on that Friday for the markup of the veterans budget. Are there any questions about that calendar or schedule? Senator Anderson.
Just to let you know, again, Judiciary, I think Senator Seeberger and I are both on kind of a situation here, so.
But I appreciate that, Senator Anderson, and I also am sorry that you have to be on Judiciary. So
thank you for your condolences. I appreciate all the prayers that you can give me.
So
and us, I guess.
We will be as considerate as we possibly can with that. It's just the way the calendar's working out, and with the two committee situation, this is the best we can do. But we will be absolutely considerate and find our ways to accommodate everyone as best as we can. But thanks, everybody. There being no further business in front of the committee, we are now adjourned.